we're in the richest PGM camp in the world and the largest outside of South Africa and Russia, as you mentioned. So it's exciting stuff. We are a growth stage exploration company. However, we have known mineralized zones that we'll get into here that we are quickly advancing towards our maiden resources. Focus very much on that Stillwater asset. We also have the Kluane PGE nickel copper project adjoining Wellgreen in the Yukon. This is now Nickel's show. And in Ontario, we have the Black Lake Drayton Gold Project, and that gives us important exposure to the gold space. Each of these assets, we have 100% interest, and in fact, a lot of them are 100% owned at this point. They're all district scale. They were acquired during the bear market cycle, and in each case, we're adjacent to world-class mines or deposits, some of the best of their types. And in each case, we put together a substantial database and a new geologic model, and bringing in a world-class team. And of course, that sets the stage for truly world-class discoveries. The focus very much on Stillwater since the acquisition in 2017. And last year, we proved our Platte Reef in Montana model. That's the reference to South Africa, you remember. And I'd be pleased to go into more detail on that. Very quick look at management here. I've only got 10 minutes, so I invite you to do additional research. All these materials are on the website. Greg Johnson, of course, our chair. He was a co-founder of Nova Gold and saw that one from 10 cents a share to 2 billion market cap. Myself, industry since 1990, and I'm a founder of Group 10. On our technical team, truly world-class, we have Dr. Craig Bowe, who's world-renowned in these magmatic systems. We're glad to bring him back to Stillwater. And a very important addition, in September 2018, we were pleased to welcome Dr. Dave Broughton of Ivanhoe to our advisory board. That's significant because he's a co-discoverer of Ivanhoe's Platte Reef mine, their Flat Reef deposit. And that's a very important validation for us. We've also brought back together 3 members of the junior companies that were in Stillwater before us. So this brings important continuity to our database, which is remarkable, including Mike Austinson, the QP. So the 12,000 meters of core that we have in our physical possession from those past campaigns, that's not historic. And we have the QP that drilled it. Justin Modreau is the vendor, and he's been marvelous to work with as our geophysicist. The Stillwater system is fundamentally a nickel-copper sulfide system. It is, of course, known for palladium in particular, also platinum. And it has significant cobalt and gold. In terms of gold, recognizing that I'm on something of a gold panel here, gold is significant at Stillwater. It's actually been just in our news release yesterday. And our Black Lake project, which is now effectively for sale, adjoining Treasury Metals, that gives us further exposure to the gold space. More importantly, at Stillwater, the basket of commodities that you see in front of us here, palladium and nickel really dominate that basket in terms of value we're seeing at Stillwater. I think the other elements make up maybe a further third of the value. It's also worth noting that the U.S. has listed 4 of these as being critical commodities, and they're looking to secure domestic supply. We're, of course, in one of the best districts in the world, and it happens to be in the U.S. At a time when they're doing this. Our land position is remarkable, especially for a junior. We have 100% interest, soon to be 100% owned, in fact, on literally half the Stillwater igneous complex. So it's 40 by 80 kilometers at surface expression, half owned by Sibanye Stillwater. Sibanye, of course, bought the Stillwater mines in 2017 for $2.2 billion US dollars at the same time as we were making the acquisition shown in yellow here. The main operating deposit at Stillwater is the JM Reef, of course, 80 million ounces at half ounce per ton grade, palladium rich, perhaps 12 grams per ton palladium and 4 or something platinum on top of that. And they operate 3 mines at Stillwater currently, essentially 1 opened each decade. They also operate a smelter and refinery complex in Columbus, just off the northeast here. And that's relevant because that is fundamentally a nickel-copper sulfide smelter system that may be relevant to us down the road. Stillwater is a layered magmatic system. It looks a lot like Bushveld. These are typically known for the reef-type deposits. These are narrower and higher grade, and they occur in the upper portions, green here. The Banded series, there's the JM Reef deposit that's now being mined next door to us. And there's our Picket Pin deposit above them in that layered system. The JM Reef deposit corresponds very directly in terms of location in the layered stack with Mercury and UG2 in South Africa, which are, of course, the source of much of the world's platinum. We've identified 6 reef-type target areas at Stillwater West. These are all kilometer scale. Our focus, however, very much on this Platte Reef-style deposit. So bigger mineable widths. The target type here is like Anglo American's Mahalaquena mine and Ivanhoe's Platte Reef mine, now in construction. Tens to hundreds of meters thick, very economic, multi-decades mine life. Tens of millions of ounces PGEs, billions of pounds copper, nickel. Very economic, attractive operations. And to that end, we're blessed with nearly 30,000 meters of core in the database, including what we drilled in 2019. We've been able to find drill-defined mineralized zones, as shown here. There's 3 of 5 that we'll talk about in a minute. We have targets zone and also in the peridotite. These are sulfide, net textured, disseminated, and massive sulfide. And we also have intrusive dunite targets, particularly that hybrid unit there, Crow Mountain. In total, we've identified 8 Platte Reef-style target areas at Stillwater. So these are multi-kilometer long target areas across the 25-kilometer span of the property. We're going to zoom in here on about 15 of those kilometers, and the blue ovals here are 6 of those Platte Reef-style target areas. This is a conductivity survey, so it's the purple areas are the most conductive rocks. And then we've got highlight drill results overlaying on top of that, with pink being the highest level of mineralization. That presents us with the 5 most advanced target areas where we've identified these drill-defined mineralized zones, and we're now moving 3 of these towards our first resource. We expect to deliver on that this year. First of those 3 is Iron Mountain, and in particular the HGR target. We've got 24 holes there defining a mineralized zone over 850 meters in strike. We drilled this in 2019. We reported that in December. And we hit that very lovely intercept shown there, 272 meters at nearly 2 grams per ton total platinum equivalent. Within that 27 meters, it starts to look a lot like some of the stuff you see in Platte Reef. You've got Platte Reef-style base metal levels, 0.34 nickel, 0.15 copper, and then over a gram of 3E thrown in on top of that. And that's in addition to similar historic data. Camp zone right next door, similar to Iron Mountain, 400 meters at over a gram total platinum equivalent. And within that, 62 meters at nearly 3 grams. That was drilled by us last year and reported in January. And like Iron Mountain, this is open in all directions. Crow Mountain, last of the 3 priority target areas. Drilling in 2007 defined this 200-meter thick mineralized zone within a kilometer-wide area. And again, we've got 30-meter intervals running multi-grams total platinum equivalent, and even over a gram palladium itself over that meter intercept. 2019, we relogged and reassayed a lot of that 2007 and 2008 core to bring that into this block model that we're developing. And like the other 2, that's open in all directions. In addition to the 3 primary target areas, we have the Crescent target area, earlier stage, very compelling. And then yesterday's news release focused on the Pine Shear Zone in the Wild West. This is a gold-bearing shear zone, cuts north and south, and very nice gold grades there, 8 meters at 16 grams, 3 meters at 23 grams. Take a look at the press release for more details there, but soil results we announced just yesterday, complete coverage at Pine Shear Zone, and identified gold in soils 2 kilometers to the west of that. So these are compelling targets for us to follow up on. We're now permitted, as of late last year, to step away from the past work and get these conductive highs. I've flagged 3 of them here. We can now fully step away from the past work and really go after the Platte Reef model that we see here and test these conductive highs, which are adjacent to these drill-defined mineralized zones. And that's a priority for us in the coming year. Next steps, did a marvelous job bringing the project in 2017. We quickly expanded it as we got into the database. In 2019, we did our initial block models, and very important, our first drill campaign, which gave us the proof of concept that we were looking for in regard to flat reef style mineralization. We also engaged Goldspot. The strength of the database here is worthy of their work with artificial intelligence and machine learning, and that's already bringing us some compelling targets for 2020 and beyond. Our priorities for this year: convert those mineralized zones into our first formal resources at site, underway now, and expand that mineralization into the untested areas as we saw there. And in addition, of course, we've got new targets. We've got news flow ongoing from 2019. We have our rhodium results and our geological mapping and sampling programs. That news is coming down here in a matter of weeks. Beyond that, updated block models on the most advanced areas, and then our plans for 2020. And then lastly, to touch back on the other assets from the first slide, we are pursuing deals for the non-core assets, being the Yukon and Ontario Gold assets, and we look forward to announcing those at a relevant time. Quick look at share structure. We currently have about 120 million shares outstanding, market cap about 24 million, a little under 3 million in the bank. So key point is that we're funded and permitted for what we need to do this year, which is a marvelous position to be in. We've seen, in terms of share ownership, we've seen our institutional base grow nicely. That was 0% a few years ago, and we're now at 20%. And management and associates hold about 29% of the company. So what we're doing, we're excited to be where we are, and we look forward to further news in 2020. It's exciting times.